What road cars did the F1 drivers drive to the Hungaroring for the last race of the first half of the 2022 season? I'll tell you in just a moment. Plus, I'll tell you how you can win a pair of these Rayban Stories sunnies. These are the ones with the camera in them. In alphabetical team order, this is what the drivers drove to the Hungaroring, kicking it off with Valtteri Bottas. Number 77, he was in Alfa Romeo Tonale. And because it is the last race of the first half of the season, I thought I'd give you a quick recap on what he's driven throughout the year. 3 Alfa Romeo Stelvios, 2 Alfa Romeo Giulias, a motorbike, a push bike, 2 Tonales, and an F8 Tributo. His teammate, Zhou Guanyu, was in an Alfa Romeo Giulia. Zhou has used that car 5 times this year, along with a Peugeot 508, a scooter, and an Alfa Romeo Tonale. And before I headed off to Budapest, I consulted the Race Weekend Jet Set edition. Race Weekend is a large format coffee table style magazine with beautiful photography. They only do 4 editions a year. And if you're new to F1 and you're going to a race for the first time perhaps, I'd urge you to get the Race Weekend Jet Set edition. Get all 4 of them. And one thing that people love about Race Weekend is there's no advertising in these magazines. And what are the 4 editions? Well, I've already spoken about the Jet Set edition. There's also F1 in 1970s, F1 in USA, and F1 World Champions. All 4 themes for just $100. They're available right now, and if you use the promo code Kim, you'll get 10% off. To order your copies, click on the link in the description below. Yuki Tsunoda was driving the car you'd expect him to be driving to the track. It was a Honda Civic Type R. This is the very same car he's driven at a number of races. They are trucked from track to track in Europe. But what's he driven throughout the rest of the year? A variety of cars, primarily the Civic, 5 times. He's driven an Acura twice, a Toyota Camry, a Honda Accord, a Honda HR-V, a Honda NSX, and a scooter. I should say too that if you add those up, it adds up to 12 races, but there's been 13. That's because no driver drives anything to the Azerbaijan race because they stay at one of 2 hotels that are right on the track, so they walk to the track. His teammate Pierre Gasly, yes, in the same Honda Type R Civic. And what's Pierre driven to the rest of the races? A Best Tune, yeah, that was an odd car. A number of drivers drove that in Bahrain. A Honda Accord, a Honda Acura twice, a scooter, and a Honda Civic 7 times. Fernando Alonso and Esteban Ocon both drove the Renault Espace Initiale. And what's Fernando driven throughout the year? A Nissan Patrol, a BMW 520i, a Renault Megane, a Chevy Suburban, a scooter to Monaco, an e-bike, and the Espace 5 times. He also signed 100 prints of mine. 50 we put up on my website the other day, and they went within, I think, 3 days. The other 50 I'm going to leave till a little later in the year. But if you want to be the first to get your chance to order one of these signed and personally numbered prints, get onto kimillman.com, click on the F1 Drivers Signed Print page and register, because I only send out an email and they go like that. Like Fernando, Esteban's driven a number of different cars this year, including a Nissan Patrol, a couple of BMWs, a Renault Megane, an Alpine A110, a scooter, a Chevy Tahoe, and the Espace 5 times. Next up, the Aston Martin drivers, and Seb Vettel once again rode his bicycle to the circuit. Although his trainer got a car, he got this beautiful Aston Martin, which was parked in Seb's car park. Lance Stroll came in an Aston Martin DBX, and it's the very same car that he drove at the previous race. So that car was either driven or transported from, where was it, France to Hungary. Now, I should say that in the past, and where's my notes here? I don't really need a note, because Lance Stroll has driven to every single race a DBX. Very consistent. He's the most consistent of all the drivers. And once again, I should just put in that rider that in Monaco, he came by tender, whereas a lot of the drivers came by scooter. No one drove to Monaco. Ferrari drivers are next, and were they driving Ferrari Romas? Yes. If you look at Charles, he's driven this year a Maserati, a Jeep Grand Cherokee, an Alfa Romeo, a Ferrari 488 Pista, that's his car, a bicycle, and 7 Romas. His teammate Carlos Sainz in a slightly darker Ferrari Roma, parked next to Charles in the car park. And this year you'll find Carlos has driven, oh, where's my note? Here it is. A Maserati, a Jeep Cherokee, an Alfa Romeo Stelvio, a scooter, a Portofino, and 7 Romas. Would you like to win a pair of these Rayban Stories sunnies? These are the sunnies that have the camera in them, plus a few other smarts. They're almost impossible to find at the moment, but you can win a pair. All you have to do is be a member of my YouTube channel. At the moment, there are about 240 members. So that's a pretty good chance of winning, 1 in 240. So to become a member, click the join button. Now, it's not available in all countries, and you'll probably have to do it on your laptop. And if you're a member as at the 12th of August 2022, I will pick one name and note that in the community tab under the competition, and I'll also put it in the description of this video. And then if you are that winner, you need to contact me and we'll arrange to get these beautiful Rayban Stories sunnies to you. Thank you to Rayban. Let's jump now to Kevin Magnus, and what was he driving to the track in Hungary? It was a Mercedes GLC 300 DE 4MATIC. Kevin's driven a variety of vehicles throughout the year, including a Toyota Land Cruiser, a Kia Telluride, an Audi Q7, a BMW X3, a GMC Yukon, a couple of BMW X5s, a scooter 3 times, and a Mercedes GLC 300. His teammate Mick Schumacher was riding his Yamaha MT-09. He's ridden an MT-09 6 times this year and driven a Toyota Land Cruiser, a BMW X7, an Audi Q7, a Chevy Suburban, a scooter, and a BMW X5. Daniel Ricciardo was driving a Mercedes, a GLC 300 DE. The same vehicle Andreas Seidel and Mike Crack were driving. Daniel this year has certainly had some variety in his cars. He's driven a Best Tune, a Range Rover Evoque, 2 Alfa Romeo Stelvios, a Chevy Suburban. He came in via boat in Monaco, a couple of BMW X5s, a Volvo XC90, and his McLaren 720S. Daniel's teammate Lando Norris was driving an Alfa Romeo Stelvio. He's driven 2 of them this year, along with a Best Tune, a Chinese manufactured car that a lot of the drivers drove in Bahrain, a Range Rover Evoque, 2 BMW X5s, a Toyota RAV4, a Cadillac Escalade, a Volvo XC90, an Audi, a scooter, and the premier car of the year for him was the McLaren GT. And I can't believe that McLaren have only had their drivers driving McLarens once this year at the British GP. Lewis Hamilton was in a spectacular EQE 350, and Lewis this year has driven a variety of Mercs, including an S450, an EQS, a Maybach GLS 600, a GLE 63S, 3 GLE 53s, 4 EQC 400s, and his motorcycle. Teammate George Russell was in this silver Mercedes, and this year he too has driven a range of Mercs, including a G-Wagon, 2 GLE 53s, 4 GLE 63Ss, and a scooter. Next up, the Red Bull drivers, and Max Verstappen driving a Honda Civic Type R. As I mentioned earlier on, these cars are ferried from one European city to another. They are exactly the same cars with the same number plates. And this year Max has been loyal to the Honda brand, rolling up in Hondas for all but one race, and I'll get through these now. He's used a Honda Accord, an NSX, an Integra, 7 Type R Honda Civics. He's arrived by boat in Monaco, and the only non-Honda car that he was driving was this G500 G-Wagon in Bahrain. And Mr. Perez, exactly the same situation. 7 Honda Civics, including 1 in Hungary, a Mercedes G-Wagon, an Accord, an NSX, an Acura, and 1 boat transfer. Next up, the Williams drivers, and Nicholas Latifi drove an Audi A4 35 TDI, but this year he's driven a Lexus, Range Rover Evoque, 2 Audi Q5s, an Audi Q4, a Land Rover Discovery, 2 GLCs, slightly different models, a scooter, a GLE 300D, and an Audi Q7. And the most variety we've had out of any driver belongs to Alex Albon, who, apart from his Audi A4 40 TDI, which was driven in Hungary, he's driven a Land Rover Defender, a Merc, an Audi Q7, a CLA 180D, a GLC 300, a DS7, a scooter, a BMW X5, Volkswagen Tiguan, Mercedes E200, and a Merc AMG A45S. That's his own car. So now you know what every driver drove to the Hungarian GP, and you also know what cars they've all driven throughout the first half of the year. If you've enjoyed the video, hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't done so, and join right now as a member so that you have a chance of winning these Rayban Stories sunnies. I'll pick a winner on August the 12th, and it'll just be from one of my members. You don't have to enter, you just have to be a member. You'll find all of my digital images at prostarpics.com. For a range of amazing gifts for you or a friend, head to kimillman.com, go to my store, and you'll find merchandise, F1 wall art, signed F1 driver prints, and F1 photo books. And for my best images live from the track and all during the week, Head to Instagram and search at Kim Illman. Thanks for watching and stay passionate. That's my eldest son coming behind me with his dog.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Have a good shoot, Kim.
Thanks, Tyler.
A good video.
Thank you.
Make sure you tell everyone exactly what the drivers are driving, alright?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, and then you can come back and tell me before everyone else hears about it. Alright? And then all the good things.
I'm not going to use any of that on
Fine,
there.
that's fine.